What you believe about yourself is the only thing that matters. At the end of the day, no matter how much outside affirmations you get or other people telling you that you're amazing, if you don't believe in your heart that you are amazing, none of that will last. Like, have you ever gone to an event or you ever made a video or created something or you're hanging out with a friend and they tell you how amazing you are and that feels good, but then it fades. That stuff doesn't last. You don't have somebody being a cheerleader for you every day, showing up in your bedroom saying, hooray, go do this, you're amazing, right? We don't have that. You have to be that for yourself. If you're constantly only getting your value as a human being from other people when they tell you that you're amazing, you're never gonna love your life. You're never gonna love yourself. It has to come from you. It has to come from you telling yourself and you believing that you are amazing. But like for me, this is why I believe that lack of belief is the world's #1 problem. You know, I can go and meet somebody and fill them full of belief for a moment, but if they still don't believe in themselves and they're going home back to a life that they had before because they don't believe in themselves enough. And so you have to design habits and routines and systems and schedules to slowly shift your belief in yourself forward every single day. Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because running a business is hard, and waking up every day and getting to work when you're all by yourself is hard. And the thing that saved me, that continues to inspire me, motivate me, give me hope, inspiration, ideas, is looking at the stories of people who've done a lot more than me. And I learn strategies, I get motivation, and it gets me to believe in myself to go off and attack the day. And so I hope this video inspires you to do the same as well. So today, let's learn from me and my team's take on my top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is learn how to sell. Whatever you want to sell, show me the process of you doing it. So if you don't have an email list yet, you can even look at who's following you on Instagram and message people and say, hey, I'm going to do a free coaching session for people. Who wants 25 minutes of my time for free to talk about coaching? Whatever issue you have, you're an entrepreneur, whatever confidence issue you're facing right now, I will coach you for free, but it's going to be online.
Okay.
Those are two different shows, though. The biz dev show is we're trying to build a relationship with a potential client and get them on the show to tell their story, but then inject a little bit of what you do. 25% of the show is about you and confidence coaching, helping them. The second show is just a straight up coaching show where they know they're coming on to be coached,
okay.
but they may not be an ideal client for you. It's just anybody who needs coaching.
Okay.
Because I want to see that you're a good coach, because you can talk and you can give me your frameworks X, Y, Z, and you can have all of your material. But that makes you a good speaker. How do I know if you're a good coach? Right? Like Ted Williams was a great baseball player, but he wasn't a great coach. So you could be a great speaker. It doesn't mean you're a good coach. So how do I know if you're a good coach? I need to see you coach. So that's a separate series on the channel. So now we're splitting it up between the biz dev show where we're trying to get clients and a coaching show where we don't care if they're ideal clients or not coming on. We're just trying to show coaching and help them, of course, and help them. And then if you have your website or you build out your funnel, that then becomes content. So when somebody lands on your, hey, hire Frankie to be your coach, I can see examples of what you do and how you coach people. Rule number 3 is focus on your mission. And you're just getting started in all of this, right?
Yes.
The opportunity here is there's the big long-term opportunity of you could help, whether it's everybody, whether it's women, whether it's women of color or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in even just North America who need that.
Yeah.
The immediate opportunity is figuring out, okay, how do we replace our salary?
Correct.
Because the women on the train may not be able to afford you as a coach, right?
Right.
So this is where a lot of people get stuck.
Right.
At the beginning, it says, I love these people and they're so good and like I really want to help. And then you get pulled into either helping them for free or doing it like super discounted rate.
Yes.
And you feel so fulfilling, but it's like you are not making money, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an order of sequencing. So it's not that you're not able to help those women in a deep way. It's just not now.
Right.
Because now is we need to prioritize within our mission, making money so that we can afford to quit our job and then make more money so we can afford to hire a team to help us build our brand. So like I'm purpose first.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to monetize, right?
Right.
Like, number one is mission, purpose, and then somewhere in 2 to 5 has to be making money if you're an entrepreneur or you don't make money. Rule number 4 is develop patience. Most entrepreneurs aren't patient enough. Most entrepreneurs end up losing their business. They end up shutting down because they think it's going to happen in a couple months or even 6 months or a year, and really it's going to take them 4 years, 5 years before they hit their mark. They don't have enough patience. They don't allow enough time for momentum to build up, and they quit. And they end up going back to a crappy job that they hate. And maybe never ever take a shot at getting entrepreneurship because they feel it's not for them. Where really, they missed out. You missed out on your destiny. You missed out on creating something amazing because you just didn't have enough patience. Now, I believe in patience in the macro. I believe in patience and knowing it's going to take a long time. I also think impatience can serve you greatly. But that's in the micro, that's in the daily, the impatience of, did I do my best today? Did I do my best today? Can I do better? Can I drive more? Can I drive harder? And knowing that even if I give my best every single day, it's still going to take time. It's still going to take a number of years for something to happen. I want it to happen as soon as possible. I'm going to drive and be impatient as crazy to get it going, but I know it's going to take time too. It's embracing both. That's when you start to win. I look at my YouTube, my Instagram, my social media strategy. YouTube, 7,000 subscribers 4 years ago, 1.2 million subscribers now. 4 years by making videos every day. And I'm impatient as anything because I want it to be amazing. I want to make every video better than the last and looking for all the hacks and SEO and thumbnail strategies and title strategies and all of the stuff that we're supposed to do, right? I'm on top of it. And I know that it's going to take me 4 years to get there. I know it's going to take me a while to get to my next 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. I look at Instagram. Follow me on my Instagram journey. I'm starting from nothing. You can see how to build it up from zero. I had 8,000 followers. Many of you already have more followers than I do on Instagram. But I'm gonna win, I'm gonna pass people, I'm gonna get mine because I'm gonna make daily, consistent content 3 to 4 times a day for 4 years. I'm gonna be impatient as anything, and that the post today has to be amazing, has to be something that I wanna show my grandkids, right? That's the intent every time I create anything. I want my grandkids to watch this video. I want my grandkids to watch the next Instagram thing that I put up. It's the best that I can come up with in the moment. And I know it's gonna take me 4 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 2 years, but it's not gonna take me 2 months. I realize it's gonna take working hard and working smart together, always.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is connect with your community.
How you are like connecting with your followers on a level that is adding value to them, but is allowing them to continue to consume your content.
One, you have to love it. Like, I love connecting with the community.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people who don't love it, and you don't have to do it, right? So I remember I was in New York and I was meeting a really big name author, you know, New York Times bestseller, et cetera. And I was in town. He said, hey, let's go grab breakfast. So we grabbed breakfast together, and he said, well, what are you doing for the rest of the day? It's like, oh, I'm gonna have lunch with another fan who said he like became a millionaire after watching my content, and then we're going to do an afternoon meetup at a Starbucks with, you know, my fans in New York, and we're just going to chill at a Starbucks and ask questions. I don't care about seeing New York, I just care about meeting the people. And he said, that sounds exhausting. Like, oh, what are you going to do? It's like, I'm going to go back to my room and write. And he's had tons of success as a writer, right? So it's not that one way is better than the other, it's just that I love doing it. And so it's tapping into, like, if that's where you get your energy from, of the audience that you have and people listening to you, watching you, et cetera, then that's where the thing needs to be birthed, not from, this is a good strategy, so I guess I should do it, right? So inside of that, I do things like that, where I do meetups in cities when I travel. Even here, inviting you back. It's like you message me. It's like, hey, what are you doing on Tuesday? You want to come by and do something, for content too? And every day I'll do Instagram questions. If you see my stories, I always put a question, and then at the end of the night, my evening routine, no matter how tired I am, I'm still like responding to questions. I'll do like 10 questions that
And
people ask.
you're responding yourself.
Yeah, it's me. Like when I'm helping people, I try to do it where there's scalability to it as well.
Okay.
So, the people who are here today that I'm helping, they're helping, but it's also content, so other people can learn from it, hopefully in your story, right? When I'm doing Instagram Q&A, it's on my stories, so people can leave a question, I'll answer it for everybody.
Okay.
Right? I still do a lot of one-on-ones in the DMs as well, but there's just not enough time in the day to hit everyone. Even the questions that come in every day, I don't have time to do everybody. But it's more of a heart thing where it's like I need that as part of my nightly routine to stay connected to the work. Because otherwise it becomes, why am I doing this stuff? The numbers start to blur and not mean much.
Right.
You had 1 million or 2 million or whatever. It's like, okay, I don't know what that means. But somebody saying your video changed my life, you saying, I watched your videos for 8 years every day to learn from somebody new. That's why I do what I do. I need to feel connected to who I'm serving or helping.
Okay.
And in doing that, then it makes me want to show up more. Because if you're just making videos in your office, or you're just recording the song in the studio, and you can't connect to like who it's going to actually help, at least for me, it's not as powerful.
Rule number 6 is build a team.
Stop trying to do this alone. If you've got a big idea inside you, you can't do this alone. You need people around you to help you, to encourage you, to support you, to cover your weaknesses, to help you actually go off and accomplish that big dream of yours. This is one of the biggest things that I think holds people back, holds entrepreneurs back, is you're probably decently good at the thing that you want to do. You've had some experience, or you've gone and learned and figured it out, and you still to get better as you keep practicing and keep going and doing more. And maybe at some point you even did try to hire somebody. Maybe at some point you did try to bring somebody on and it didn't work out. Didn't work out. And here's where everybody makes the mistake. You retreat and go back to say, you know what? It was just a lot faster when I did it myself. Has that happened? Has that happened to you? Ever been there? You hired somebody. You thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hire somebody. You do it. It doesn't work out. And then you go back to say, I'm just going to do this all myself. No. No. That is not the answer. That is not the answer. That's like if you go on one date and it doesn't work out, now you're never going to go on another date again. You're never going to be married. Right? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. You're living in fear as opposed to actually trying to build the thing that you're capable of building. Here's what happens. When you first hire somebody, you don't know what you're doing. Right? It's like when you first did anything, you don't know what you're doing. So why do you expect to be great at picking the right person and then treating them well and then managing them well? You don't know what you're doing. There's a guy in my movement makers who joined my Discord as well. And he was talking about how he had hired his second video editor and it didn't work out. And he had to let the person go. So he's hired 2 video editors. Both of them couldn't get his style and he had to let them go. And he's going back to editing everything himself. Now, as a short-term solution, great. Like stuff has to get up, videos have to be edited, get them out. But don't stop searching just because you had 2 failed hires, right? Like if you tomorrow are editing videos, awesome. But if you next year are still editing your videos, not awesome. Nope, not awesome, not anymore, right? This is how we start to raise our standards. And so the first 2 people that you hired weren't good fits. Great. Keep searching. Keep looking. Your perfect fit is out there. And as you go through some people and go through the process, you'll get better at actually finding the right person. You'll get better at it. Don't judge yourself to say, well, I suck at this. I can't hire. I'm never going to find the person. It's just faster to do it myself. Right? There's that old expression, you can go fast by yourself, but you go far with a team. You have to build a team.
Rule number 7 is practice self-love.
When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you say? When you think about yourself, what do you say? A lot of the stuff that we say about ourselves, we wouldn't say to our worst enemies. It's rough. I actually think it's great to be your own worst critic. I think it's great. Honestly, I think for a lot of people, we're not hard enough on ourselves. Let me stick with me for a minute. We're not hard enough on ourselves because in order to get to where you want to go, you actually need to push yourself more. The problem is why we can't do it is we don't love ourselves enough. We're not our biggest cheerleader enough. You have to balance those two things. We're very hard on ourselves, but because there's no self-love, we're not cheering ourselves on enough. We're not our biggest cheerleader. You can't handle it. Most people are already at the breaking point, like I'm sitting here in a parking lot, these, those, I guess it's kind of blurry, you can't really see them, but people hate their lives. They're barely hanging on. Most people are barely hanging on. We're barely hanging on to what we're doing. We can post all these great things on Instagram or wherever and make it look like we're enjoying our life, but most people are barely hanging on. The people who are judging you for your life and telling you that you suck hate their own lives. They are barely hanging on. So how do we get through it? Well, yes, we can be harder on ourselves, but we need to balance that with more self-love. You have to remind yourself of why you're great, what you're proud of, what you're grateful for. And it has to be consistent. Otherwise, you'll never get to where you want to go. And when you love yourself more, that actually allows you to be harder on yourself. When you love yourself more and you actually feel it, you can push yourself harder. You can be more demanding of yourself because it's not going to push you over the edge because you're not tying your self-worth to you accomplishing that thing. And when you don't accomplish it, you feel like a loser. It's starting from a place of I'm amazing that allows you to be way harder on yourself.
Rule number 8 is find your ideal clients.
You've got your biz dev show, and the point of the biz dev show is to bring ideal clients on. If you don't think they're an ideal client or they could refer ideal clients to you, then they're not on the show.
I get the light bulb on this morning was to pick entrepreneurs, choose entrepreneurs to come on to an entrepreneurship show. And in our mind, in my mind, entrepreneurs would probably watch it because I'm talking to an entrepreneur. So yeah, I really, my mind is really shifted.
Yeah, but they're coming on and just listen to somebody else's story. That doesn't, why would I then hire you? I don't know. You're just Larry King asking questions. You're a great question asker.
Right. Okay.
Well, I'm not hiring you for that. So unless your goal is to be an MC or to host shows or something else, then that's a different model, right? But if like I'm a coach and I want to sell more coaching services, then that's a better model. So you're bringing people, if they're either not an ideal client, meaning they have a business and they can afford your services, like if it's a brand new startup and they're dead broke, it's not an ideal client because they can't afford you. So ideal clients or referral partners, lawyers, accountants, those kinds of people who deal with entrepreneurs all day long. Like if you have the right lawyer on and they love you, they could be referring every client.
Rule number 9 is choose positivity.
You can choose at any moment positivity. You can choose at any moment gratitude. You can choose at any moment service. You can choose to change your mindset in an instant if you wanted to. The challenge is we're so living in our subconscious mode that we don't catch it soon enough. We don't take the action that we're proud of, and then we regret it. We regret it later on. This morning, I woke up really early. I'm very tired. I woke up at 3:45 a.m. for some reason, don't know why. Look at my watch, like 3:45 a.m. What? Oh man. Okay. Whew. Try to go back to sleep. Toss turn for about an hour, and then I got up. I was like, okay, it's 4:45. It's almost 5. Let's get up. And I got to work and started doing things. And then the crash hit me. The crash hit me. Just not enough sleep, and everything inside me wanted to shut down. I wanted to just take a complete break, not do my walk in the morning, not take the dogs out. Well, the dogs have to go out, but not do my routine, not do any of my usual stuff. Not record videos. Today's a Tuesday when I record. It's video recording day. And it's in these moments, those trying times, that you have to decide who you want to be. You have to decide if you want to choose to be positive, choose to live in gratitude, choose to live in productivity, choose to live in service, or not. What would the future you think of your actions right now? And I think 95% of the time, the answer is to push a little harder. Move the brake line forward, right? Where you would normally take a break, move that forward just a little bit. Move the brake line forward a touch. And 5% of the time, you have to be more gentle on yourself. When my family dog passed away, when I broke my neck, when, all sorts of things have happened to me, just like they've happened to you. Sometimes the answer is to give yourself a little more grace, to recognize how far you've come, everything that you've done with the limited amount of resources and time that you have. But I think if we default to that, then we default to staying stuck and staying small, because life is going to throw so many different challenges at you. So I think 95% of the time, that's the 5%, right? 5% of the time you give yourself more grace, you let yourself off the hook, you take the day off, you do whatever you need, especially if you're struggling with grief. If you're struggling with grief, I think you just have to work your way through it. You have to give yourself a lot of grace and a lot of time, and it will get better. And just please don't go through it alone. But almost everything else, usually the answer is to keep going, because it'll make you more proud, because you're teaching yourself that you stand up to obstacles and you overcome.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is open your heart to people.
Do you have any tips for creators that are starting out on the platform and are looking to build their audience organically?
Oh yeah, no, I'm answering the question.
Okay.
The thing is, you need to open your heart to people. So I asked you a heart question, and you shut it down and moved back to head.
Diverted, yeah.
Right? Because you said, I want to document my self-love journey. That's why I'm doing my house and my workout. You said, I want to document my self-love journey. So then I asked you, well, where do you struggle with self-love? That's a heart-opening opportunity. And then you went to, well, I've fixed a lot, and I'm much more, and I don't really struggle with that anymore. Okay, cool. And maybe you don't. Awesome. But where do you struggle? Because if you're telling the stories about 17-hour days and photo shoots, and it's like the glam life, cool, but it's not really relatable. So what are you struggling with? What's the negative voice in your mind? Because you're part fierce, badass, gonna show up and crush and want to change the world, right? That's in you. And then you're also insecure and self-doubt, and like, is this even worth it? And when is it gonna happen for me? And like all of those emotions too, and all of us are.
Yeah.
But that's the heart stuff, that if you can figure out how to dive into that stuff on a video, people will then start to love you and feel connected to you. And you're still badass, fierce, chasing down your goals.
So showing all.
If you're writing songs with your head and not your heart, it's not going to win.
Yeah.
If you go into the studio thinking, okay, what is a hit song going to be? And let me just copy whoever, and this is the track, versus, no, I have something to say. This is what's on my heart. Like, those will be the better songs.
Vulnerability, yeah.
And so if you're already doing that in your art, now it's bringing that to just a new form of art. And what you want is people to actually join you. The language you use is great. I'm on a journey of self-love. And if you want to swap that out for something else, cool. But you take people on the journey, then they want to join with you on the journey. But you have to let them in, not just kind of watching from the outside.
Most people don't get what they want because you don't follow through enough. You just don't follow through. It's based out of insecurity. You start and stop. You're afraid of hurting people's feelings. You're afraid of what they're going to say about you. You're afraid they're going to judge you. And we're afraid of having that L on our personal resume. And so we stop. We stop and try to do something else where we're seeing more immediate results. But if it's your goal, if it's your dream, you have to follow through. One of my favorite stories is with Brendan Burchard, and I went to speak at his event in Phoenix, and I knew of him, but I didn't know him at the time. It was his business partner that had me come out to his event and hired me to speak there, and that's where I met Brendan for the first time. And he asked me, hey, what are you working on? What can I help? What's next for you? And I said, well, I'm working on my book. And he said, I'd love to help. I'd love to give you some feedback on your book. Like, I am definitely down for that. Let's connect. And he asked me what my phone number was. And at the time I didn't have a phone. I didn't use a phone number. And I said, how about email? And he said, I'm not really good on email, but if that's the only way, then let's do email. So we exchanged emails, and I didn't hear from him. So I followed up and I said, hey, Brendan, thank you. Great event. Love to talk about the book like you suggested, and didn't hear back, and followed up a couple weeks later and didn't hear back, and followed up a couple weeks later. And then he said, oh man, thank you. I'm super swamped right now, but let's either come out to my place and we'll do a jam session, or I've got this event coming up, maybe you can come be there. I said, yeah, I'm down for either. Which one do you want to do? And didn't hear back, and then wrote a couple more messages and didn't hear back. And here's what's really important. In my head, every time I sent another email, I was questioning myself. I was judging myself, like, ooh, I don't want to bother him. Maybe I'm being too overwhelming. Maybe he doesn't actually want me to come out. Maybe I'm offending him. Maybe I'm not respecting him. Maybe I'm asking for too much. That's the thought in my head before every email. Where in reality, he's just a busy guy. He had a lot of stuff going on. He had a launch that was happening that I wasn't even aware of, that he was planning behind the scenes. And so he was not crazy stressed out, but he just has a lot on his plate that he's dealing with. And it's hard to tell ourselves that. It's easier to default to the insecurity of maybe you're bothering, maybe you're asking too much, maybe you're not worthy, maybe you should move on. The event that he talked about me coming to was coming up, and I still hadn't heard back whether he wanted me there or not, or and my book launch was coming up too. And I thought, I'm gonna send one more email. Just one more email, that's it. I'm gonna send one more email, and hopefully something happens. If not, then I'm done. And hopefully he doesn't think I'm a loser or whatever. And he wrote back an email and like, hey, sorry man, again, I'm not super great on email. I've just been swamped planning all these things. Yeah, come out to the event, speak at the event too. And that was his big event that was, $30,000 to $50,000 a year mastermind to be a part of, that then I spoke on stage. That then at the event, after I spoke, I met with him and Dean Graziosi backstage for an hour over lunch and planned my entire book strategy. That then led to me getting invited to go to Brendan's house a couple days later and hang with him and Dean and Tom Bilyeu and Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty and Russell Brunson and all sorts of amazing humans who built giant businesses. All of that happened because I sent that one more email. Because I followed up and I followed up and I followed up and I followed up, and it wasn't that he hated me or that he thought I sucked or that I was being overwhelming or whatever. That I kept following up. It just had the persistence. There's a lot of opportunities that are in front of you right now that just are not happening because there's not enough follow-up. There's not enough persistence.
Today, we are talking about finding sponsors. A couple ideas here. The first one is be the authority in your industry. And this is how I started getting my first sponsors, is that people knew me as being the entrepreneur guy. First off, just in my city. Like, I'm the entrepreneur guy in Toronto. And for this to happen, it has to be really niche. How do I niche down so that people find me? Because if you're just talking about motivation, you're up against Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and Eric Thomas and Evan Carmichael and all these big channels. So why would a giant company want to work with you? At least why would they come to you? They wouldn't be your first choice to come to you. So I was thinking about, how can I be the go-to in my specific industry? And one of the biggest things that I found too for helping people get more business from YouTube is going more niche. Like, who specifically do you help, and making content directly geared towards them. This is something that Drew and I have been working on and helping some of his clients. He's helped some clients get 5-6-figure deals from their YouTube channels, and they have 100 subscribers.
What?
Pablo is freaking out. Yeah, because the videos are specific, right? So who do you ideally want to be helping, and making content directly towards them? And so a lot of times the problem is our content is too general, it's too broad.
Yeah.
And you're going up against big people. And so you won't be the one that they find. But some of the stuff that he puts up is relatively obscure a niche. Like, how can a dentist invest in life insurance? It's a pretty specific niche thing. And the goal isn't to have 1 million views on that video, but anybody who's watching that video is going to be an ideal target market for you. And so if I'm a dentist and I'm trying to invest in life insurance and I find that video, there aren't probably too many videos. There's videos talking about how dentists can grow a business or entrepreneurs can grow a business. There's videos talking about life insurance, but not that combination. And in that combination, we start to get people who are our ideal clients. So it's yes, building up. I love the idea of building giant channels, what I love doing, but I also want you to make money along the way. And if you have any kind of client service business or products that you want to sell, making it specific, knowing that we're not trying to get 1 million subscribers yet on these videos, but it can start to pay us. It also attracts the attention of potential sponsors. So the more niche you can get, especially when the channel's small, the more niche you can get, the more people will find you who care about that niche.
Was it hard for you to dig inside and say, I'm going to work on Evan?
I love taking on new things. Like, you have a different modality that you want to, nobody's models ever quite fit me. So it's cool, but I'm happy to try on the next model. You guys, you have your 8-step personality test. Cool, I'm a electrifier. Awesome. You know, like, it never quite fits, but all of them are good paths. Like, I'm not locked into one modality. Like, it's got to be the Colby score, it's got to be the Myers-Briggs, there's got to be the whatever, but they all teach you a little bit about yourself. Even down to, I just had my DNA tested, and from the DNA test, they show you, hey, based on your genes, you're more susceptible to these kinds of foods and this kind of activity and all this kind of stuff. Like, okay, those are like their averages. So it's a good starting point. I love trying stuff. I love trying stuff for me to learn and also to demonstrate to other people that go try stuff.
You need to create an environment of excellence. Most people's environments are not excellent. The people around you, the videos that you watch, the things that are on your wall, the voices that are in your head. You have these moments that are bold, that are courageous, that make you feel unstoppable and you can do anything. And then you fall back down because the environment is the thing that's keeping you small. It takes a giant effort to overcome your environment. You definitely can. It's definitely possible. Tons of people are doing it. But it takes that giant effort to say, I don't want to stay stuck here. Most people stay stuck. Most people make minimal improvements in their life year over year. And if you don't want to stay where you are right now, fast forward to 1 year from today, you don't want to stay stuck. You want to be in a different place. Could actually be physically moving, but a different place in terms of your finances, in terms of your purpose. Like, today, this is not acceptable anymore. I accept that this is where I am right now, but where I end up is not going to be the same spot as where I am right now. The biggest shift that will help you get from where you are now to where you want to be is creating that environment of excellence. What's the fastest way to learn a language? What's the fastest way to learn Japanese? Well, it's to go to Japan. Sure, you can read some books and you can hire a tutor, and the more intense it becomes, the more you're actually living it, the faster you're going to pick it up. So if you want to develop the mindset of the high achiever, if you want to become that person, the people that you look up to, the whoever of the world, like, I want to be the next whoever, perfect, that person. The more you hang around with them, the more it's going to rub off on you how they think. Because how they think, how they act, how they behave, how they see the world is very different than how you see it right now, and how the people around you definitely see the world right now. So how do you do it? How do you start to become it? Well, I look at what I'm doing. And this was one of my biggest challenges when I was getting started, and honestly still in. Like, I think the biggest problem in the world is a lack of belief. I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. I don't, you don't, Oprah doesn't. People don't believe in themselves enough for the next level. So how do you start to believe in yourself more? The thing that helped me the most was to have these successful people around me constantly. And so I want to share a few tactics that I think can really help you, that has really helped me as being the shy, introverted kid who never wanted to be in front of a camera and was making $300 a month and quit on my business partner and thought life was over, right? To now here. And it's taken me 20 years to get here. So hopefully we can shorten that path for you if you actually follow some of the advice in this video. So step number one, how do we create that environment of excellence? what you feed into your brain really, really, really matters. So figure out how you love to learn. For me, it's videos. I like to see things. I need to be visual. If that's you, then you need to have a way to have those videos coming into your life every day. It can be part of your morning routine. That's why I make this channel. Part of your morning routine. Subscribe to the channel every morning, every weekday. We got a new video out there for you to give you the shot of Espresso to help you. But if it's not my channel, it's some other channel, one of my other channels. Subscribe to the channels that make you feel bold, powerful, unstoppable, give you hope, give you belief in yourself. And then watch that video every day, or listen to that podcast every day, or read that book every day. The trick is it can't be the same book or the one video, because that one video on repeat is going to lose its effectiveness, right? You know it. You watch a video, it gets you all fired up, and then you watch it again the next day, and it's not as like, oh, what happened? I don't feel as good. And you watch it the next day, and the feeling's gone. So you can't just read the same book over and over, watch the same video over and over and over again. The key is to find a consistent source. So if you love this channel or you love this video, I'm making other videos just like this that you can subscribe to. If you like an author, go find their other books, or go find the people that inspire them so that you can read something every day. If you like a podcast, go find other podcasts like them so you have something every day. So you are manipulating what comes in your head with intention now. With intention. So you're not just scrolling through things like, I am going to watch one of these videos every day to slowly shift myself forward. Because it'll happen. If you love Elon Musk and you watch Elon Musk every day, what will happen is slowly, day by day, you will start to think like Elon Musk. It will happen. He will pull you forward. You will start to see the big difference in how he thinks versus how the people around you think versus how you think right now. And he will give you more courage and more boldness and more a sense of hope and purpose that you can do it too. You'll start to think more like him.
How to get over someone that you love after breakup when it still hurts. So whether it's a breakup in a personal relationship, in a business relationship, you can always think about what you would have done, what you should have done, what you could have done looking backwards, but it very rarely serves you. The easiest way to move past is to start to get excited about the future. When you are excited about your future, you spend zero time thinking about all the things that you did wrong going backwards, right? You did the best you could with what you had. Forgive yourself. If you had to do it all over again, you would probably play it a little bit different now because you're smarter, you're wiser, you have more experience. But you can't go back in time. And sitting, wishing that you could, and all the mistakes that you would have fixed doesn't serve you. So the key is to start getting excited about the future. Get excited about the future. What are you building? What are you creating? What are you moving towards? Not where you have come from and where you struggled and sucked. So if it's a business opportunity, get excited about the new business you're going to make. If it's a relationship, get excited about the next relationship you're going to have, right? Get on the different dating apps and see who's out there. See who's on the market for you right now and get excited. Like, allow yourself to dream again and to wish again and to hope again. Because that thing that you came from was not the one for you anyway. If you're trying to move through some past mistakes, you give yourself credit for doing the best you could with what you had, and then we start getting excited about the future that is still ahead.
Most of the things that I guess other people might see as failure, I don't see as failure. What's a failure? A video didn't do well? Like I choked on a hair while I was talking? And I guess a lot of the things that most people would see as failure, I don't see as failure. I don't even see it as feedback. It just was, and now we're moving on. I don't look backwards, right? It's like, okay, whatever, that's done, cool, let's go. Forward. Oh, you have feedback for me? Cool. I filmed without the microphone. Was that a failure? I see it as a win. I don't think I take big enough risks to ever have a real failure. Like if I mortgaged my house to make this day like insane, and Danny says, hey, to make this thing fly, we need Val Kilmer riding on an elephant, like crashing through the front door. And then that had to work, or I lost my house. That's a failure to me. So everything else is all manageable. I think it's a strength and a weakness. It limits how much upside I have, but this also means there's zero downside.
For imposter syndrome, honestly, there's two things that I'll do. One is remember who you're focused on serving, right? We're so worried about trying to be someone that we're not and who might judge us and who might comment on your video or whatever. It was something nasty. But focus on who you're serving, who you are serving. Like somebody needs your message today. You've got a message. You've been through something. You have advice to share. Somebody needs that, and focus on who that person is. And it may not be 1 million people. It may just be 8 people who watch your video. But for one person, that might be a life, like your message might be the life-changing message that they need today. And so focus on that when you're out there creating. And two, the other thing I find helpful is imagine you're talking to younger you. So when we get stuck in imposter syndrome, we think of, oh, if you look at Angela, who's hosting her own show, like, well, but I'm not Larry King, or I'm not Oprah, or I'm not whoever. And we let that be the reason why we don't start. Whereas think about who you used to be. So for me, the most painful point in my life was 19 when I quit on my business partner. And so I go back to think, can I help 19-year-old Evan? If I was going to sit on a park bench and talk to 19-year-old Evan, would I have something that I could say? And yeah, of course I could help. I may not believe I can help 1 million people, but I believe I can help younger me. And same thing for you. You may not feel like you can help tons of people. You have imposter syndrome about that. But if you think back to who you used to be, think about who you were 5 years ago. You from 5 years ago would listen to you today. And they may not listen to Evan Carmichael or Oprah or whoever, but they'll listen to you. And so if you can have a message for younger you, well, there's millions of people who currently are younger you, and they're struggling, and they need you. And just, I don't know, just the way that that is framed, for me, gets me out of my way and forces me to get into action mode. They're both an angle of service. You know, I'm always going to lean on service. One is you're thinking about the people who you can help. And two is you think back to younger you and recognize that you could help younger you. And there are millions of people right now who are younger you, and they need your help. So it's time to go through.
You don't know what the final product is you're trying to get, because if it's an internal fulfillment, if it's a feeling, you can't quantify that. And if you can't quantify it, you can't reverse engineer it. So my mind is wired numbers, but like my heart is going more towards the helping and serving, but you can't map that out to break down steps. So it's like a dichotomy.
I hear you, but you kind of can, in that the feeling of fulfillment that you're chasing. How many times when you've been in a room with a lot of people or just with one person that you've helped, do you leave feeling more fulfilled?
Often.
So that's how you quantify it. Put you in a room with somebody who needs help, and you'll 80% of the time come out with more fulfillment. That's what I said, like that's the missing piece, is you're not feeling the connection. You're all push, 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 and no hug. It's like you need the feeling, because, okay, I had 1,000 Instagram followers, now 2,000 or whatever it is. Like it doesn't mean enough, because it's a momentary, you cross that number, but there's no heart. The heart is when you're talking, and you're actually very good at it. You say you're not just all mine, you're great at connecting to people and helping them. You do it naturally. More than anybody on my whole tour. We did it in every city. I went across America. You were like the only guy who didn't talk about himself and like used his time to help the other people. So you're naturally great at it. You're just not putting yourself in the position to do it. And so you can XO quantify it. If you were to twice a week do something with somebody else who needs help, 80% of the time, you're going to come out feeling more fulfilled. Like, I'm kick-ass at what I do. I'm so happy that I had that conversation with that person, because you're actually good at it. And it's like, if you sucked at it, then it might be 25%, but you're actually really good at it. Mm-hmm. So 80, 90% of the time, you're going to come out feeling more fulfilled, which then gives you the courage and the motivation to then stay consistent, because you're all push, but there's no consistency. When you can match the push and the hug, then you'll stay consistent because you feel that it's fulfilling. If you're not fulfilled, you won't stay consistent. It's just a little thing to chase. Like, oh, I'm going to start and stop, right? But if you actually felt fulfilled in the work, like this is meaningful, this was really cool, I want to do it again, you'll stay more consistent on all the work.
I'm the kind of person who likes to write things down. I'm the kind of person who has, when I have an idea, whether it's 2 in the morning or 3 at night or whatever it is, when I have an idea, I want to write it down. I feel like unless I can get it out of my head, and now I tend to just send myself an email or write it in Evernote, until I get it out of my head, I'm unsettled. I feel like I'm going to forget the idea. And it's something that I've wrestled with, this message of, maybe I'm just not going to write anything down, and the best ideas that I have will just continue to come back and come back and come back, and those are the ones that I should run with. And if I look at how many times I actually look over that Evernote file, it's pretty slim. and I feel like I kind of do it anyway, where the best ideas come back to me over and over again, and that's what I run with, but I haven't fully embraced it. Maybe it's out of fear of losing a great idea, and every now and then when I look through the notes, something does come back, and I end up running with it, and I fear that I may have forgot it if I didn't write it down, and I could have missed a big chunk of a big project I'm working on. But maybe that's an irrational fear. I don't know. This is something that I want to play with more. I do know that when I was thinking about my one word of believe, that's been the foundation for this channel and a lot of the work that I do. When I first thought about it, I felt like it was too big. I felt like it wasn't the right one for me. I felt like it was hard to live up to. And the more I slept on it, the more time went on, the more I experimented with it, the more it felt right. And every passing day, that big idea just stuck with me more and more and more until I embraced it fully, and it became the basis of this channel and my website and all the work that I do. So I think there's something there. I feel like I don't do a good enough job on it, and I wonder if it might be worth an experiment for a week to not write anything down and just trust that the big ideas will stay there. That's an interesting one. I'm gonna think on that. I'm not gonna write it down, but I'm gonna think on that.
I'm passionate about helping. I want people to learn, man. And I don't think we're getting it in schools. I don't think you're getting entrepreneurship knowledge in textbooks. And I'm passionate about trying to help the entrepreneurs who have the information to get it out there. So I've connected with pretty much everybody, I guess, in the thought leadership entrepreneur space. And I just help them with their channels, and good stuff happened. I mean, even looking at this, I don't know how we got initially connected, but we hopped on a call maybe a month or two ago to look at your YouTube channel. And then you said, hey man, come on my show. Like, I'm down. Good things happen when you give. So if you're a business owner, you're an expert at something, your job is to teach people to think like you think. And what I love, you look at Ed Milet or you look at yourself, you guys think differently, right? The way you approach things, you're not your typical boardroom CEO, professional corporate guy, right? And so the questions that you ask are not the normal ones. The way you see the world is not what other people see. And so that's your job as an expert, as a business leader, to share the way that you see the world so others can see the world the same way.
Our ideas are endless. You've got big ideas. I've got big ideas. You want to change the world. Right. And that's great. And it's great. Like dream big. And okay. It's then this gets so easy to get lost in our big dreams, and it's like, well, what do I do? We're building the ladder, we're creating the bridge, we're getting in the boat and we're rowing. Like, this is the first step. And what's great is you already have a product or service that you can sell. So it's not like, I don't know what I'm going to sell. I don't know who I can help. I don't know what my skills are. Like, you've already figured that out, which is great. So now we just need to figure out, okay, how many clients you need to get so that you can get that team. Those two people, and then you'll have so much more momentum. Like, just imagine an EA or a VA taking 20, 30 hours a week of work off your plate. What does that free up for you to do?
Yeah.
Right? A lot. Like, maybe you can already afford to hire that person now. And if it's not 20 hours a week, maybe it's 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week. Right? That's how we start to scale up.
Yeah.
But it's these steps.
So think globally and start local.
That's it.
That's good.
Yeah. Because a lot of people hear that message and say, but I don't want to dream so small.
No.
I'm not asking to dream small. Like, dream big, dream bigger. We're just building the plan to actually get there. Because the thing that's missing between and not just you, where like most people are and where they want to be, is they don't have the team and the resources to do it. So let's go get you some more resources so you can get the team to go off and build your even bigger mission.
The fastest way to change your habits is to change your environment. You ever notice how when you're in a different environment, maybe you go on vacation, maybe you go to an event or seminar, you start doing different things? You are still you, and you do some of the things that you used to do, but all of a sudden you're doing new things that become a part of your regular routine. You ever been away for a couple weeks and discover that you built up some new habits, and maybe some are healthy, maybe some are unhealthy. But if you've ever been away and you notice that you've picked up some new habits, why? Well, it's because the environment demanded it, because everybody else was doing it, because it was so easy, natural, comfortable to do that, that's why you do it too. And so if you want to be able to switch your habits quickly, you change your environments. Now, you may not always be able to go on vacation or go to events or seminars, so those are options. But it starts with you figuring out, well, what are the habits that you want to develop? Who are the people that you want to be around? And when you are around those people, you will start to think differently, which will lead to you behaving differently. When you see other people doing it, you're going to want to do it more. When it's in your environment more, you're going to want to do it more too. To change your life, you have to be willing to change your actions. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. If you want to change your life, you want to be in a different spot, you have to be doing different things. Now, if you love your life, great, don't change anything. Or you love pieces of your life, don't change anything about those pieces. But if you are not happy with where you are at, you must be willing to do different things. Otherwise, you will stay stuck forever. I was doing an Instagram live yesterday with a young entrepreneur. He wants to be a speaker and he wants to share his message, and he's constantly facing self-doubt and fear and insecurity, and nobody's watching the stories, and he's not good enough, and who am I to share a message? And in our IG live, one of the things he said was, well, I'm not comfortable doing that. We're talking about making content, and some days he's on top of the world and he feels great, and other days he's not, and he doesn't feel comfortable getting in front of the camera. And he started going off and telling me a story. Like, stop right there. When you say, I'm not comfortable doing that, we have to identify that as a trigger to go. Saying, I'm not comfortable doing that. Now, if it's against your values, I get it, right? You're not comfortable. You know, I'm at Costco right now. Nina's going shopping in there. I'm not comfortable robbing Costco. Perfect, okay? That's outside my value system. That's totally different. Most of the things that you're not comfortable doing are failing in front of other people. At the end of the day, that's what it is. You're afraid of being judged. And so we're not comfortable doing that thing. You'll fail if nobody else sees it, if it's just you. But you don't want to fail in front of other people. And that can no longer be a good enough reason. Because if you only do, think about this, if you only do what's comfortable, you stay in your comfort zone. If you only do what's comfortable, you stay in your comfort zone. And therefore, you hate your life. Because if all you did was wake up and do what's in your comfort zone, do what is known, do what is comfortable, do what you've always done, you're going to hate your life. And this becomes the curse of a lot of entrepreneurs, is you know you're capable of more, you know you want to do more, you know you have more in your heart to go off and serve. You want that. You can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it, you can visualize. It's like, I want to be there. I want to do that, right? Has that happened to you? Can that relate to you? You know you want more, but you're afraid to go off and do it, and you fall back down to comfort. At least consistently. You might have these moments of greatness and boldness and willingness to go do something, but we fall back down to comfort. And if you stay in comfort, you will never accomplish your great goals, because everything you want out of life is on the other side of your comfort zone. Everything you want out of life. All your big goals, your big dreams, your big ambitions, your mission, the life that you want is on the other side of your comfort zone.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video, because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Gary Vee, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
It's life-changing, and right now the world is going the other way. It's telling you what every single thing is bad, and everything, social media, traditional media, politics, society is pushing everyone to see the thing